Hello, welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. We're back with the Irish Abroad. Just me and Paul today. Steve pulled a sickie, I think. He's not here today. Um,
Practicing his French.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think something like that. But anyway, to kick us off, you were over in London during the week watching Troy Parrott and AZ in the Europa League. Unfortunately, getting knocked out. But how was your experience? What was the game like? How was Troy?
I didn't see Troy. He was a bit annoyed after the game, understandably so. It seemed like a frustrating game for him. With, Romero and Van de Ven marking him out of the game for a lot of it, and a lot of stuff happening off the ball with Romero and Troy. There seemed to be a bit of needle there. I don't think they played together. They might have maybe trained together at some point, but there was definitely a bit of needle there. Thought Troy was good in parts, but I have to say, massive shout out to the Spurs media team and communications team who were unbelievable. Gave us access to the training. The facilities were unbelievable. I obviously was there for the England stuff, so a lot of the Lee Carsey's press conference and stuff was in the training ground, but the stadium was absolutely unbelievable. So gorgeous stadium, arguably the best stadium in the Premier League. I haven't seen Everton's new stadium, but apparently they'll be on par, but we'll see about that. But it was just absolutely spectacular, and their facilities, everything, the food they gave us, everything was just brilliant. So yeah, it was a great experience. Great to be over. It's witnessing Europa League knockout stages in a Premier League environment and seeing how they do things and all. So it was good. Yeah, unfortunately for Troy, it wasn't to be. But look, he's got a Dutch Cup final to look forward to, and hopefully win that now next month. So.
Yeah, unfortunate result for them. They also drew 2-2 today, by the way. But
with Ajax as well, so it was a good result.
Yeah, decent result, but has to be said, like an incredible run for them in Europe, and unfortunate way to end it. But look, it was a great run, and to have an Irish player feature so prominently in that is great. So, hopefully more of that to come in years to come.
Yeah, I don't think it really got as much cover as it should have. I think we were the only ones covering it, which is mad. And it was only across the water, but look, as they made their own mistakes, and that's ultimately what cost them. So, defensive errors just needlessly cost them, playing out from the back and getting caught. So,
yeah, unfortunate way to end it, but again, commiserations to them. On to your Everton. You've got the jersey up there. Jake O'Brien scored 91st minute equaliser against West Ham. Great goal, actually. It was Idrissa Gueye got it on the volley on the far side of the box, and then first time whipped it back in, and Jake O'Brien got the end of it to equalise for Everton.
Yeah, you just can't keep a good man down. I think there's a second goal as well. He scored obviously a late equaliser against Wolves. I think it was the last game was before that little break, the FA Cup break. So he's got 2 and 2. He started 9 games for Everton, and they've been undefeated in those 9 games under David Moyes with Jake starting. So he's been an absolute revelation at right back for Everton. And I did call it. I said once he got into the team around January, or the Christmas period, if he could get into the team, I think he would stay in the team, and I think he could go on to be a future Everton captain. Obviously, he's not going to be an Everton captain right now, but I think the signs are there that he'll move into a centre-half position next year. Dave Moyes has already said it. He's done this with a few players in the past, had them out wide. He had Seamus Coleman as a right midfielder, moved him as a right back. He's done it with Julian Lescott. He's done it with Phil Jagielka, starting him out as a midfielder, moves him into a centre-back. Lescott left-back, centre-half, and they all had really good careers. So I foresee Jake having a really good career, Premier League career at Everton. I think Moyes is the perfect manager for him. He trusts him. He's given him experience. He's kind of learning on the job, and then he's rewarding him with goals, which is what Lescott. They're very similar goals to what Lescott used to score at left back. But yeah, look, the fact of the matter is he's such a threat in the opposition's box as well as obviously in his own box, like defending. This is what we need for Ireland, is someone just regularly playing in the Premier League, winning games in a winning team. We don't have it too much. I know Matt Doherty and Darragh O'Shea are playing regularly at club level, but they're not winning. And, I always find in football, at any level, winning breeds winning. But when you're losing games, it's hard, and you're bringing that into international. You're not bringing a winning culture there, but obviously he is now, because Everton are doing quite well. I'm not saying that Everton are having their best season ever. They're not, but if David Moyes had been there maybe from the start of the season, it would be interesting to see where Everton could be sitting, maybe in a European place or whatever. Maybe next season would be telling, but it'd be great to see someone like Jake now, what Seamus Coleman had been doing for years. But Seamus was our highest performing player, even in a struggling Everton side. So look, yeah, Jake, absolutely unbelievable. I'm so happy for him because he had to bide his time. Sean Dyche looks like an absolute mug right now because of what David Moyes has done with Jake, just showing him the trust and believing in him. So look, I'll run out of words if I keep going on about how good he's been since he's come in. And again, he's not playing his natural position. Last season was a huge year from a Leon for development purposes. Now he's kicked on the level again. You can see that, and he just looks really comfortable at that level.
Yeah, and like you said, since David Moyes has come in, the form has really, ticked up. And alongside that has been Jake O'Brien being introduced into the team. Hopefully he can bring that aerial threat in the opposite box into the international games, like you said. But it was interesting. I do agree that his future definitely is at centre-back, I would say. He's more than, he's more than talented enough to start at centre-back in the Premier League and maybe even beyond. But it was interesting to hear during the week with Heimer Hallgrimsson's squad announcement that he was kind of listing off the squad and going through his kind of thought process in the selection. And it was, I think it was good to hear that he kind of seen Jake as a right back, because I know in the past, he has played football at centre back for Ireland, but he's been performing so well recently with Everton at right back. And I think the options that we have at centre back, it would be brilliant to see him at right full and hopefully scoring goals in the opposite box as well.
Yeah, I think it brings that consistency though as well. So obviously he's bringing the club form into international. If they can look at that as well, as in like, okay, he's playing as like a hybrid right back. He's not so much of a Cafu, but he is overlapping, but maybe not as much. Like they're trying to get Mikalenko a lot further forward than they are trying to get Jake forward. So when out of possession, it kind of tucks into like a 3. When Jake, I was watching the game, especially in the second half, and I was finding he was bombing on, trying to get forward. He was trying to, but his final ball isn't fantastic because he's not a natural fullback. So naturally his crossing's not going to be as perfect as say like a Kyle Walker or someone like that. Do you know what I mean? Or Trent. Well, I don't think anyone's on Trent's level, but you get what I'm saying. It's like players that are playing naturally have been always wingers or wing backs all their lives. They're all naturally going to have a better cross ball. Obviously, Jake's far better at getting on the end of the crosses or whatever, but he is getting into the right positions. Whether he starts at right, I probably think he will start at right back, if I'm being honest, because I don't think he rates Doherty that much. I think he said that before, but I think like Doherty's in the squad on merit. In fairness to him, you can't say he's not, because like if you got to imagine what Doherty would be saying if Coleman was called because he didn't kick the ball yet. He was on the bench again yesterday, but he's just Seamus hasn't played since Stevens. It was a Stevens' day against Man City when he kind of wound up Haaland. He had a great game, but he's been out since, so it's a long time to come back. And I appreciate he was out for a long time, came back against City and got injured again, so he was out for another long time. So that's why he was out of the team. But I think Matt Doherty, in fairness to him, I know Wolves have been struggling, but personally, if you've ever watched any of the Wolves games, he's had good games.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Jake O'Brien at right back for Ireland is fairly nailed on for this upcoming window. I think like Matt
and
Doherty,
he didn't get injured yesterday, so that's good.
And Matt Doherty has found consistency when it comes to game time, even captaining Wolves. But I think Jake O'Brien has been the form player, I would say. And like you were saying, you don't want him coming into the international squad and playing in a role that's completely different to what he's doing at club level. So I would like to see him at right back, as you said. Another man scoring goals in the Championship this time, Mark Sykes, who on Tuesday scored a 90th-minute winner against Sheffield United. And then this Friday, he scored an absolute peach against Norwich in a win, 2-1 at home, and they're unbeaten in 7. And, I was fairly surprised when he was picked for the Ireland squad, but in this week since, he's kind of shown everyone why he was picked. And, Hamer mentioned that kind of lack of wingers coming into this window due to injury and other things, but he's been playing off the right mostly for Bristol City, especially for Norwich, cutting in off the right and scoring with his left foot. He might be an option at right wing for Ireland, but it's great to see him, find some form in the Championship, scoring goals on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen a whole lot of Sykes, but what I've been impressed with what I have seen of him, and when he's played for Ireland, he's really just tried to kind of just get his head down and work hard and stuff like that. So look, he might end up playing him, which I don't think he's got. Like, he's a team player more than anything else. He doesn't seem to have an ego about him. So yeah, I think with Sykes, I think he should be considered. I can't think of anyone. We've spoken about midfielders in the past. Maybe John Patrick Finn there to the side of you there. Should he be considered for a midfield option? I think so. But when you think of like wingers and stuff like that, like, oh, who should be dropped for Sykes or whatever, you can't really think of too many names. You might say, oh, Callum Robinson could be an option off the right hand side, but you'd more so want him maybe in a striker's sort of position, maybe ahead of Sinclair Armstrong or something like that. But other than that, I don't think you could be looking at it going, someone should come out for Sykes. So I think that says enough. Like, no one was looking at the squad going, oh, fuck's sake, why is Sykes there? Do you know what I mean? So I think the fact that he's scoring, it always looks well. Same with Jake at right back. That's why you're saying he's nailed on for right back. If he wasn't scoring goals, I don't know if you'd say that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, his performance defensively as well is part of that. But with Sykes, I think it's just like perfect timing nearly because, as we just said, like the lack of wingers at the moment, his form that he's just coming into, he's really proven Hamer right with that selection. I think in the past with Ireland, he's played more of a central role, but it's interesting to see him now playing a kind of more attacking right wing role, which, you know, he could be in that position for Ireland. You never know. Like when you look at the options that we have Johnston, who's, you know, I'd say fairly nailed on at the moment on the left wing. Then you're looking at Rocco Vata, maybe Jason Knight or something on the right has played that role before for Ireland. You know, the options are kind of limited. So if you're a Mark Sykes, you're kind of licking your lips at that and thinking maybe I could get a few appearances here, maybe a few more caps for Ireland, and maybe even in a starting role. You never know. But yeah, what were you saying?
No, just because he's scoring goals, he should be in a far higher position to be looked at than Mikey Johnson, who's so hot and cold.
Yeah, but I'd say for Ireland, Mikey Johnson has always performed, and I think with international selections, you have to kind of. I do think there is a balance there with kind of picking players who are in form at club level and then players that you trust on international level. I know we talk about here like not picking players based on, you know, name brand or their reputation or whatever, but if you're Hamer, you're thinking you want results here, so you want players who you can trust to go out there and do the job for you. It's a bit difficult to kind of put in players who you've never seen do it in the green jersey before. Not saying Mark Sykes hasn't performed for Ireland before, but he's only played kind of limited couple of minutes here and there for Ireland.
What was the game he played? Was James McLean's testimony? I think I interviewed him after that game.
Was it maybe Hungary that he played in? I think I remember him in that squad.
Could have been, but it was the black Castor jersey that we wore one time. I think it was McLean's final game.
God, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
But he did an interview afterwards. He was good that night.
Yeah.
So was that New Zealand or something like that?
Oh, maybe.
I think it was New Zealand. He might have scored that night. Anyway, I can't remember off the top of my head. But he did an interview after that, and I remember asking him kind of what it was like, and he was just really. He's one of those who's just really proud to play for Ireland. He obviously comes from the north.
Yeah.
I think you've seen this with McLean and Shane Duffy and all, like playing for Ireland. And I'm not saying that anyone else doesn't feel that way, but you can see the fact that they switched allegiances that like really means like a lot for them to play for Ireland. Like it's really the pinnacle.
Yeah, I think that is a factor. I'd say being from the north, like you feel that like it's such part of your identity being an Irishman and playing for Ireland, pulling on the green shirt. So, you know, I hope that if he brings like half of what James McLean brought to the national team, I know things ended a bit sour there, but you know, for years James McLean was such an important player in the Ireland team and really influential in some big results that we've had. Moving on to another player who's in very good form going forward, Finn Azaz from Middlesbrough. Picked up another brilliant assist in the game at home to QPR. They won 2-1, I think. It was an assist to Tommy Conway. Picked up the ball on the left side of the box and a perfectly placed cross along the ground into the path of Tommy Conway, who tapped it home. But I think that's his 11th assist of the season, 10 goals to boot as well.
Yeah.
And he's in red hot form at the moment. Middlesbrough, who were struggling, to be honest, halfway through the year, are now still in contention for playoff spots, funnily enough. So he's really kind of dragged them from nowhere into a position where, you know, they might be looking at promotion now.
It's funny that their fans were trying to say to us online that he wasn't, but however we move. Yeah, I think look, regardless of that, I think Hamer has to find a way of accommodating him in that team, whatever way he does it, whether he goes with a 4-3-3, that's 4-5-1 out of possession, and he's the star at the top of the Christmas tree, I call it, behind Troy Parrott. That's my opinion on it. I think you have if, for example, AZ, right? Troy's the number 9, and he has 2 wingers, and his job is to mainly get in the box and be on the end of things. I hope that we can try play to his strengths there. And if you have that player then as Azaz, maybe assisting him, who knows? I think they could link up well. That's just my opinion on it.
The players that we have in form right now, I'm struggling to see how we fit them all in the team without having one of them playing out of position. Because if you throw Adamida into that mix, are you going to play 2 up front and
He's
have
not
Azaz
really
behind?
in as good as form as he was, I don't think.
But then, like, is Johnston in better form, or is, whoever we're going to play in the right in better form? I'd love to have Ida and Parrott up there together. I feel like they work perfect off each other. I know
they could, but the problem is with that, right, is Troy drops deep and Ida stays high. Troy's better when he's higher. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think? Because I think Troy, big part of Troy's game when he's playing for AZ is the picking up the ball and then turning and flying off, and runners go beyond them. Adamida's game.
No, because he needs to be in the box getting on the end of it.
Well, then you have Adamida getting on the end of things. It doesn't matter who scores the goals in this.
No, it doesn't. But I know that they're good mates and they could probably play well together. But it's probably a conversation for a different day as well. To be fair, to be getting drawn into it. But I don't think Ida's in as good as form as he has. But then again, he's other than Callum Robinson and Troy. There's nobody else that you would say is in better form. Or Tom Cannon or whatever. Sinclair Armstrong. Any of them. None of them are in.
Evan Ferguson.
Yeah, again played a couple of minutes yesterday. That move hasn't worked out for him yet. It might by the end of the season, but for now, and look, he might, with the way that Hamer or John O'Shea seems to really rate him, I could well see him starting. But as I say, it's a story for another day. We probably forgot to mention the fact that he did play, and Darragh O'Shea got an assist as well for Ipswich. But yeah, I just think that I think you need to get my point on the matter is I think Azaz needs to be accommodated in there somehow. Not shoehorned, accommodated. He should be in the midfield. And does that mean if that means Jason Knight has to go out, right, great. No problem with that. But have him in there.
This is what I'm worried about, though, with Azaz. I feel like if he is put in the team, he might end up getting thrown out on the right or thrown out on the left, the same way Sammy Smodix was
But there's the fact that now that Smallbone's injured, I know it's a point you're going to come on to, but the fact that he's out now, surely Azaz has to come in somewhere there as a midfielder.
That's what like you said, we're kind of going on in the Ireland squad selection, but I don't know. Like in my head, are we going to play Azaz as that advanced midfielder and just Josh Cullinan behind him, and then have 2 up top, or are we going to do, just one of the?
It'd be interesting to see if someone gets called into the squad tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and like you said, Will Smallbone picked up a knock. I think it was a groin injury. It'll be interesting to see who they draft into that position. You would think maybe, I know Malumbi suspended for the first game, maybe he comes in and plays a role in the second game. Another man who we're going to go on to now, Killian Phillips, who's been in excellent form at St Mirren. Maybe a bit too soon for him, but I mean he's been performing really well, and it was an absolute beauty of a goal that he scored away to Motherwell. I know it was a 2-2 draw, but he seems to be scoring every other game or assisting even. Yeah,
but we were talking about him as well. Didn't he score against Rangers? Or did he have a man of the match performance against Rangers, was it? One or the other?
Man of the match,
or
I think,
both.
Yeah. And he came on against Celtic as well, but it was the Rangers game that he really impressed him.
Yeah, but the fact is Rangers is still in Europe. Rangers is still playing Europa League, and so like he's shown that he's going to do against a team like that. Jamie McGrath was at St Mirren when he got his call up for Ireland, so I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, and look, we're at that point. As I said, I was at the squad announcement. We've been talking about John Patrick Finn for a while. It doesn't feel like he's really on the kind of fringes of the team just yet. Maybe a little bit too soon. Hamer kind of mentioned how he had a couple of great games, a couple of bad games. I mean, you'd struggle to find really any player aside from your Troy Parrotts and Finn Azaz's, maybe Adamidas, who are having like consistently great games. Jacob Ryan,
Josh is at Burnley. Probably going a bit under the radar because of the position he has, but Josh Cullen has been but we know what we're going to get from him anyway. Consistently, he's been a consistent player for Ireland. You know he's going to play as that number 6. He's going to be the one, the anchor behind the defence, and the one that gives the defence protection. But it's when we get beyond that, who have we got? And as you say, you'd struggle to think. Jason Knight, I would probably say, would be the other midfielder, and probably his ass, I think. But it's not something we need to get into now, but I think that's probably how it'll end up. And then whoever he brings in, I can't think off the top of my head too many midfielders who he can bring in. Malumbi, I'd say, will come back for the second game regardless. in the Aviva, but it's who he calls up for this game in particular. It'll be interesting if he calls up anybody. He might just go, "Do you know what? I'll pass on that game and bring Malumbi in."
This is what I'm wondering about, because as Ireland, as we've been for for as long as we've been playing international football, we haven't had a star in every single position. So if you have a player who is performing well, showing flashes that he's doing performing good at top level, like Ligue 1, as you
What's it called?
Ligue 1, I think. You can correct me on that if you want, but
No, it's perfect pronunciation. Well
yeah.
done.
So
Beautiful.
if you want to take a punt on a player who looks like he has talent and might have potential for the future, I think no better time than now.
You know my feelings on Finn. I think he should be in there. So I said that a couple of weeks ago. I don't want to repeat myself, but I think he should be in there, just personally. But I understand that this game is seen as like a big game because it's a relegation playoff. So there might be a bit of pressure on him there to come in for his first cap or whatever. But I was more so saying to bring it in, just give him a sense of kind of what it's like around the Ireland squad. Let him kind of mingle amongst the players, see if he likes the atmosphere or whatever. And that'll be a bigger case to kind of bring him in for future games. That's just my own opinion on it, but I can understand if other people are like, "Oh, well, don't bring him in because he's had a couple of bad games." Well, all right, well, who do you bring in? But
who hasn't had a couple of bad games here and there for Ireland?
he's young as well, like he's only 20, 21. I don't think there's anyone. Well, actually, do you know who he could bring in and he likes, and he mentioned him, is Andy Moran.
Yeah, definitely. Probably a different profile of player, I'd say, maybe more advanced.
But he likes him. He said that in the press conference, didn't he?
Yeah, another player really kind of hasn't been in that great a form, coming on here and there for Stoke, but no doubt a great player, as you said. Just to move on to a couple of other goal scorers there, James Collins, Steve's favourite, scoring again for Lincoln City, and David McGoldrick still doing the job down in League 2. Robbie Brady came on for Preston and got the assist for a late time winner for Preston. They were at home to Portsmouth. A player who I would think would be our starting left back this time, Calmo Dowda, maybe in contention, probably not. I'd say
Matt
Robbie
Doherty
Dowda.
as well.
Maybe. I don't know if I'd play him on the left side, to be honest. I'd go with Robbie Brady.
Either or. I like Robbie Brady. I think people's opinions have changed on him since the Finland game. An assist and a goal that night. I think he shut a lot of people up, and I think he's justifiably in the squad. Can't argue. He's got a peach there the other week, free kick against Burnley, and now he's got an assist. He's in good form.
Yeah,
don't see any reason why not have him in there. Yeah.
Like you said, I think he'd gone out of a lot of people's heads when it comes to Ireland squad contention. Had been like kind of bouncing around for a few years, but I think when you start stacking together good performances, no matter what the level, Preston, a good club, picking up some results against some big teams. But the main thing, performing for Ireland, scoring goals, getting assists, in that kind of attacking left back role that he's shown that he's well capable of playing. Particularly for his delivery from wide areas. We talk about Alameda, we talk about Troy Parrott. We need players who are going to deliver balls for them, and so I think there's no better man really in that role.
100%. His deliveries, he should be in the squad alone just for his deliveries. The Liam Scales header, it was inch perfect, beautiful goal, beautiful ball, beautiful goal.
Yeah, and just lastly, wanted to touch on Gavin Bazunu. Your thoughts on him the last couple of weeks? Has been performing quite well out in Belgium.
Clean sheet today again against Standard Liège.
For Standard Liège.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, head's gone. My head's still in Amsterdam. But no, I think he's. I think everyone thinks that Kelleher's better goalkeeper than him.
No, I think for Ireland, I think Bazunu has probably performed better.
Bazunu's never done anything wrong for Ireland. This is what I don't get. Where people draw the comparisons, like what are they seeing that one isn't doing? I think they're both exceptional goalkeepers. I think Kelleher's made a couple of mistakes. I think it was against Greece. Was it Finland?
I think Finland. The
second Greece goal, was it not?
Maybe it was Greece.
It was Greece. It was Nathan Collins who did the back pass. Right. But it was Greece. Like, he just got caught in the ball. Look, whatever happens. He's kept us in a lot more games than he cost us. The game was already done at that stage. But I'm just saying with Bazunu, I'm not surprised that he's doing well. Like, he chose to leave Southampton to go and play. He's got straight back into the Ireland squad. Max O'Leary's having a kid. Makes sense. Mark Travers is the most unlucky of the three of them. I feel sorry for the fella. He just seems like such a nice fella that he just doesn't cause a fuss. That's probably why he's, maybe not getting in. I don't know. He could be well able to stand up for himself away from the scenes. Like, you don't get to play professional football if there's not that element of ruthlessness about you. Because Seamus Coleman's a lovely bloke, but I tell you one thing, he takes no shit.
Yeah.
And that maybe that'll happen with Mark as he grows older, because he's still quite a young lad. But I think it's harsh that he's third choice, because he's been the consistent of the three, as in playing the most. Bazunu was injured, so I appreciate that. Kelleher lost the Carabao Cup final today. He made one good save anyway that I saw. I was driving, in fairness, when the final was on, so I was listening to most of it. But one of the lads had it on the car on Sky Go, and I saw he made a brilliant save when they were 2-0 down. Obviously finished 2-1. But look, I would opt for Bazunu right now because he's playing again. And if Kelleher was still playing for Liverpool in that consistent role, I would say Kelleher should be playing. But I want a keeper who's playing week in, week out. Bazunu got his little knock there the other week. He's been fine. He's played every game.
It kind of goes back to my point on the kind of balance that an international manager has when he's picking squads, but then starting 11s as well. Do you go with the fella who's in form at club level, which you'd probably say is Mark Travers at the moment, maybe Bazunu as well, but only recently coming back from pretty long-term injury. Does seem like he's the third choice, I would say, because it sounds like Hamer only called him when he had the discussion with Max O'Leary that he was having a baby.
Who's third choice, sorry?
That Bazunu was third choice. Although I would say out of the three of them, who I would say are Ireland's three best goalkeepers, he's performed the best for Ireland. So do you go with the guy who's performed and that you can trust in an Ireland jersey?
The only thing I'd say is O'Shea went for Kelleher when he wasn't playing. So, and Bazunu was playing for Southampton. So there's an element of maybe O'Shea has a word to say. And
to be fair, we're making the case for the other two lads, but Kelleher has played some huge games this season for Liverpool, has stepped in and really, you wouldn't even notice the difference. But I know Alisson, the last couple of weeks.
No, I get what you're saying. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I just think it's just. Next season will be the making him when he leaves, because he's got to leave at this stage. Remember, this fella is going to come in for from Valencia after his loan. Then it'll be okay. We're going to have to look to sell Kelleher for at least 30 million. Is that a record transfer if he goes for 30 million? I think it is.
For an Irish player, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry. I think it is. I think Nathan Collins was 20 mil or just above it. But yeah, so I'll be interested to see. Look, he's top class. Even his Liverpool teammates have said that about him. Everyone's saying he's the best number 2 in the Premier League, so I'd love to see where he's the number 1. And then look, if he's playing every week and justifiably as the number 1. But it's probably a story for a different day.
Yeah, rightly or wrongly, I don't think Bazunu's in contention for a starting spot. Could you see a Mark Travers getting in there, or do you think it's Kelleher's?
I think Bazunu should be in contention.
I mean, in reality, I agree.
No, yeah, I know, but I'm just giving my opinion on it.
Yeah.
I think Bazunu should be. Look, of the three of them, I'm confident in the three of them.
Yeah.
So I actually don't care. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a rude way to you. I just don't care of the three. I trust that we've 3 good goalkeepers, so whoever plays, take your chance. That's all I'd say to them.
Yeah, and I agree on that. It's a good note to end on, really. That's about it. Make sure to check out our League of Ireland podcast as well coming up, and check us out on social media. We'll be back next week with more, so see you soon.